Now at 9, with severe weather always a threat, local schools have a plan to keep students safe when storms strike.
The city of Pittsburgh will be expanding their wastewater management. I'm Melissa Alexis, and I'll have more on this story coming up.
Will he or won't he? The president has threatened hefty tariffs on the biggest U.S. trading partners that could go into effect Tuesday. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll have that story coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Pittsburgh moves forward with plans for a new multi-million-dollar water treatment plant. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. The city of Pittsburgh says it now has the funding required for the much-needed expansion. KOAM's Melissa Alexis reports.
Everything from start to finish is going to take water.
Having safe, purified water is crucial for every town, for residents and businesses alike. And the corner patio in Pittsburgh is no different. The restaurant's owner, Andrea Ascanio, says the business couldn't function without it.
For cooking, we wash all our dishes. We need clean water for that. We have our soda machine that takes water. We have soup.
That's why Pittsburgh Wastewater Treatment Plant is expanding its facility to better serve the community.
It's one of those things that you don't realize until you are in a different city or you hear about other cities that have a lot of issues with their water treatment or their clean water.
The current city facility is about 65 years old and will be completely decommissioned. Repairs for the facility are costly, which led leaders to deciding to replace it.
We hope that this new plant will serve the community for many decades to come. It's kind of a generation project.
The new facility will be less spread out than their current facility here behind me, and it'll also allow them to be in line with their updated permit.
This will bring us into compliance for future years for a permit, as well as growth for a community, just to keep the health and safety welfare.
The director of Public Works and Utilities says the city is making this happen now thanks to a loan of about $6 million from the state of Kansas.
It's important to be in a community that cares about our water supply and our water management.
Reporting in Pittsburgh, Melissa Alexis, KOAM News.
The project will take about 2 years to complete, and the city hopes to begin construction in May. Meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney joins us now with a first look at weather.
Well, we've got severe weather starting off tonight, low to elevated risk, especially out in the east. And then tomorrow, all of us are under a low risk except for Delaware and Benton County out in the south in an elevated risk. So we've got a lot going on with this system, a low potential for tornadoes and for hail. That's just right when this system enters, but it breaks apart really quickly. And then we're mostly dealing with an elevated risk of winds, wind threat with 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Now currently winds are starting to pick up a little bit, gusting up to 40 miles per hour across the area. That's going to stay mostly consistent until this system starts to pass. Now, we do have a wind advisory for all of our counties out in Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, and a few right along the Kansas-Missouri border, and then a high wind warning for the rest of the Kansas counties. All of this extends until Wednesday. So we are watching the winds and storms popping up over the next couple of hours. I'm going to have those details coming up.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. Well, severe weather season is rapidly approaching. In many areas, school districts will start tornado drills. Those drills are for warnings issued during the school day. But what about warnings issued when students are already on the bus home? KOAM's Chris Warner spoke with 2 local districts on how they handle those last-minute warnings.
The 4 states is no stranger to severe weather, and local school districts have plans to keep students safe.
The best place for our kids and our families are in the shelters and the safe rooms. So if we can keep them all there for as long as possible until the danger is past, that's our first priority.
For years, we've had severe weather late at night or on the weekend. However, severe weather has also hit a few times during the school day, leading district officials to change tactics to keep everyone safe. Last year, a tornado warning in Newton County came minutes before the school day was out. With kids still in school, they moved to shelters, and parents waiting to pick up their kids were allowed inside the school safe rooms. But what if that warning came unexpectedly?
We try to use every resource we have to try to anticipate not only track but also timing of the storms to anticipate. We want to keep our kids in place. Obviously, we don't want our kids out going into storms. We also don't want our families going out in the storm.
Kyle Baldridge with Miami Public Schools says if significant severe weather is expected, sometimes they'll plan an early dismissal, but that isn't always possible.
If we get a tornado warning 10, 15 minutes before school's out or, before buses run, we're going to hold kids. We will hold our students in their location that they do where they go for their tornado warning, and we're going to hold them until that warning lifts for our county and for our area.
Tornadoes can form with little to no warning. So what happens if a warning is issued minutes after students are dismissed and buses are already on the road?
Whichever the safest or closest safe room is to the bus, if they can make it based on what the radar is showing, that's where they will go.
Miami has a number of rural routes that its buses run. Baldridge says they have a similar plan.
It's Oklahoma. Weather is unpredictable a lot of times, and sometimes you get caught out, and that's when I said, we will just communicate with them, get your kids to shelter as soon as possible, wherever that might be.
Both Baldridge and Harding say safety procedures are always under review.
How we did things 10 years ago with the storm shelters is not the same way we'd probably do them today. And we just learn those lessons every time we have a situation.
I'm Chris Warner for KOAM Skywatch Weather.
Both districts say while the weather situation can change in an instant, they feel they're prepared for whatever Mother Nature sends their way. Well, today, the National Weather Service marks the beginning of Severe Weather Preparedness Week in Kansas and Missouri. Emergency management teams will be spreading awareness and promoting severe weather safety throughout the week, emphasizing different weather disasters each day. On Wednesday, for example, Missouri and far eastern Kansas will conduct a statewide tornado drill at 11 in the morning. While emergency crews say this is only a drill, residents are encouraged to treat it like a real emergency. Well, coming up, it's World Hearing Day, and gaming is more popular than ever, but experts warn loud volumes could put players' hearing at risk. Tips to protect your ears while still enjoying the game. But first, Texas is facing its largest measles outbreak in 30 years with nearly 150 cases and counting. And now federal health officials are rushing in vaccines and support to contain the spread. Well, the number of measles cases linked to a West Texas outbreak continues to grow, and now health officials are renewing their push for people to get vaccinated against the virus. Fox's Jared Halpern has more.
Federal health officials are shipping more vaccines to Texas as the state deals with its largest measles outbreak in 30 years. Nearly 150 cases have been reported so far, and that number is expected to grow.
It's something that, you never expect to happen, especially so close to where you live.
The Department of Health and Human Services says it's sending 2,000 doses of the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, as well as lab support to help track the virus. In an opinion piece for Fox News Digital, HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has been skeptical of vaccines in the past, voiced support for the MMR shots, though he did not explicitly recommend them, writing, quote, "The decision to vaccinate is a personal one. Vaccines not only protect individual children from measles, but also contribute to community immunity."
That area of the country has a very low vaccination rate, and the problem with measles is it is the most contagious respiratory virus on the planet.
Most doctors agree that low vaccination rates are driving up the number of cases. According to the CDC, most states sit below the 95% vaccination threshold for kindergartners, that level needed to protect communities against measles outbreaks.
For children and adults who are fully vaccinated, that vaccine is about 97% efficacious.
The CDC says at least 8 other states have reported measles cases this year, including California, Georgia, and New York. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Pope Francis continues to recover in the hospital after suffering a respiratory crisis last Friday. The Vatican says the Pope is improving, undergoing oxygen therapy, but off of mechanical ventilation with no signs of infection. Despite skipping his weekly blessing, he's still leading from his hospital suite and meeting with officials. Thousands continue to pray for him in St. Peter's Square. He will not preside over Ash Wednesday, and there's no word yet on his discharge. It is World Hearing Day, a time to bring awareness to the fact that noise-induced hearing damage is often irreversible. And experts are sending out a warning about a little-known danger that can put people at risk for permanent hearing loss. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither explains how playing video games can cause hearing damage and has simple ways to protect players' ears.
It's a popular pastime that continues to grow. On average, gamers ages 18 to 35 spend about 17 hours every week playing video games in the U.S., according to a 2024 Video Gamer Safe Listening poll.
Over half of them are playing at levels that are too loud, and our hearing is something that we take for granted until we lose it.
Audiologist Lindsay Creed says gamers now often use earbuds, headphones, or headsets, which can put loud noises close to the ear, and over time, that can cause significant damage.
There's often not much we can do to get it back at that point.
But Creed says noise-induced hearing loss is preventable. First, turn down the volume. Keeping it to about 50% or less can reduce risk of damage. Next, take listening breaks every hour. Even a few minutes can help your ears recover. Finally, use headphones that offer protection, like ones that are noise canceling.
This will help reduce the noise in the user's environment and really allow them to resist the urge to crank up the volume of the game to compensate for what's going on around them.
Creed says children and young adults are most vulnerable to this type of hearing loss and may not be able to put into words that a sound is too loud. So she says it's important that parents stay aware and promote hearing care.
They can still play their games and have fun, just in a safer way.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Lindsay is next with a complete look at your forecast, and later a Pittsburgh Child Care Center is bringing Dr. Seuss to life. The week of fun-filled activities, from colorful outfits to classic stories. See how young learners are celebrating their favorite books.
Well, it's our first severe weather event of the season. Let's go ahead and take a look outside downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. You can see the camera shaking a little bit because we do have some pretty strong wind gusts out of the south, gusting up to 40 miles per hour. Now that's going to continue over the next several hours, actually over the next couple of days. So we do have a extreme cold warning. Oh, excuse me, no, ignore those, sorry. We have a severe thunderstorm watch for a couple of counties out there near Wichita, and we also are under a high wind warning over counties out in Kansas, and a wind advisory for the rest of us out in Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, and that's due to the strong wind gusts that we're going to see associated with this system. Now, first, what we've got going on, our dry line moving through, cold front right there, and you can see storms are finally starting to pop up along that cold front. It's starting to push in pretty quickly and going to be moving into our area a little bit closer to about midnight to 1 a.m. So you can see they're still pretty far west of Wichita, firing up out in Oklahoma. It can take a minute before it gets to our area, and by the time it does, it's reaching an area of instability. So although we do have some severe threats, we're not looking too strong with those. Low for hail and low for tornado. Main threat is going to be an elevated risk for winds, especially right when the system moves in, so out in the western counties. And then tomorrow, those storms do continue across the area, and then that low wraps around, bringing more thunderstorms and even snow. So we do have a marginal risk still for severe weather tomorrow for most of us. Then out there in Delaware County and Benton County, a slight risk for those storms. Now, like I said, wind's going to be the main threat for the system. So we're gusting up to 40 miles per hour as we head into the rest of the evening. Now, our line of storm starts to push through, and you can see winds die down right behind that. Looking pretty good. Winds out of the west. And then that low wraps completely around with winds gusting out of the north up to 50 miles per hour. And again, that continues all the way through Wednesday. So that's how long our advisories and our warnings for the high wind extend to Wednesday morning. Now, on top of that, we're also going to be dealing with possibility for flash flooding. So let's dive right in. 11 p.m. we have this storm starting to push through. By about 1 to 2 a.m. making its way into our western county. You can see out there where we have that lower risk for tornadoes and hail and winds, storms are still pretty strong right along those areas. Now, as it moves into our area, again, it kind of reaches an area of instability, so everything breaks apart. We are going to deal with some pretty loud thunderstorms with this. Does eventually move through the area. hitting Pittsburgh by about 7:30, hitting the Joplin Metro closer to 8 a.m. And then as that low pushes back, we've got the secondary system kind of moving through early afternoon. Isolated thunderstorms are more of a threat, and then we even see a little bit of snow, which I'm going to talk about coming up later. But we also have that flash flooding risk associated with this as well. Most of us only getting about an inch, but some areas could see above 2 inches of rain. Now, we have that snow potential late Tuesday night and into Wednesday, but you can see Wednesday is pretty warm and windy as well. Then we warm right back up for the weekend.
All right. Well, I'm already looking forward to the warm up.
Me too.
I'm done with this below 32 degrees. All right. Thanks, Lindsay. The Sunshine Child Care Center in Pittsburgh kicked off a week inspired by Dr. Seuss today. The Learning Center says it's planned a week filled with activities taken from some of the author's popular books. The center started the event with a nod to the book One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish by encouraging everyone to wear red and blue.
It's just kind of about getting them engaged with the reading. So the children love when others come out and read to them. And so sometimes they'll sit on their laps, or they sit next to them, or they'll sit across from them. And that just kind of helps promote them to read along with them.
PSU football team got in on the Dr. Seuss tribute by reading to the kids at the center today. Well, coming up, spring breakers are heading to Florida, but with record travel and tighter security, tourists may face longer lines and stricter rules. Spring break is a time to unwind and soak up the sun, but with large crowds anticipated for this season across popular Florida destinations, officials are warning for the potential for travel congestion and increased crime. Fox News' Ted Linder takes a closer look.
With spring break travel season ramping up, flocks of tourists have their eyes set on Florida's sandy shores. If you're getting ready to fly into Tampa International Airport,
we're expecting to break some records this year.
Officials there are preparing for a slew of activity, with about 90,000 daily passengers expected now through April 6th. Saturday, March 15th, is slated to be the busiest travel day at TPA, followed by March 16th, the 22nd, and the 29th.
We're known for our quick checkpoints and our lines and getting through very easily, but spring break's a little different. You can expect longer lines.
If your mood is more Miami Beach, local leaders say tourists should expect fun in the sun, but with rules.
We're a law and order city. I also say that I want Miami Beach to be the safest city in America. That's my goal.
The city's mayor is bringing back heightened security measures implemented last year to crack down on spring break crime and violence.
A small area of our city on Ocean Drive, a couple of blocks, but what we saw was a level of lawlessness and chaos.
Similar to last season, visitors to Miami Beach should expect bag searches at beaches, curfews and early beach closures, parking restrictions, DUI checkpoints, and more.
Last year, the month of March, was my first year as mayor. We had a great spring break, no incidents.
Many local hotspots appreciate increased safety, but don't want heavy police presence and rules to potentially hurt Miami Beach's reputation as a travel destination.
There's no heat in the street. That's a great feeling too, except that at the same time, there's nobody in the street.
Ted Linder, Fox News.
While many may travel over spring break, others will choose to get their garden going. We take you to a beginner gardening class after the break. Spring is almost here, and many aspiring gardeners are taking the opportunity to learn the basics of growing their own fresh produce. Joplin Greenhouse hosted a free beginner gardening class earlier this evening, offering valuable tips for both first-time gardeners and those looking for a refresher. Participants learned everything from choosing the right location and improving soil health to planting, caring for crops, and harvesting.
My favorite thing about gardening is the reward of gardening. I really enjoy harvesting things, and it's really good family time. Some of my favorite things to plant in the garden would be tomatoes, of course, green beans, and asparagus. Those would be probably my top three.
Experts were on hand to answer questions and provide practical tips. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports is coming your way. Starting Tuesday, imports from Canada, Mexico, and China could face massive new tariffs with concerns over higher prices and retaliation. And the fallout continues from a tense meeting between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky, with Europe pushing a new peace plan, but will the U.S. get on board?
You're watching the 4 States most watched news.
This is KOAM and News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. President Trump says tariffs against Canada and Mexico are ready to go as punishment for not doing enough to stop the flow of fentanyl coming into the country. Unless the president decides otherwise, those tariffs will take effect tomorrow. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reports.
Starting Tuesday, imports coming across the U.S. border from Canada or Mexico could face a 25% tariff, while the taxes on imports from China are set to double to 20%.
No room left for Mexico or for Canada. No, the tariffs, they're all set. They go into effect tomorrow.
President Trump set a midnight deadline for the countries to slow illegal immigration and the flow of fentanyl into the U.S. or face the hefty tariffs. Mexico is waiting to see if Mr. Trump follows through after he backed off a similar threat in February, while Canada is preparing its own taxes on American goods.
There is no universe in which the government of Canada could not retaliate.
Democrats argue Trump's tariffs will trickle down to American consumers, and a new study from Anderson Economic Group finds they could increase car prices by up to $12,000.
These kinds of broad-based tariffs are only going to hurt American people.
A lot of people that did vote for him are going to wonder what's going on. Why is he implementing policies that are making my electricity bill go up?
Broader reciprocal tariffs are set to go into effect April 2nd, equaling the tariffs other countries place on American goods.
Ask the question, why are we doing this? It's because the world cheats us.
White House officials say the president could implement tariffs on Canada and Mexico Tuesday, but at a lower rate than 25%. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
A bill before the Missouri State Senate would offer $1,000 to help turn in undocumented immigrants. Senate Bill 72 would make it a felony for undocumented immigrants to enter or stay in Missouri. It also allows licensed bond agents to act as bounty hunters and offers a $1,000 reward for tips leading to an arrest. Supporters say it mirrors law enforcement rewards, while opponents argue it's creating fear in immigrant communities. The bill remains in committee, though, and may never become law. Presidents Trump and Zelensky got into a war of words during what was supposed to be a routine visit to the White House Friday. And now, as Stephanie Bennett reports, the U.S. is poised to pull back on aid, and Europe is stepping up with its own assistance in a new peace plan.
People are dying. You're running low on.
The fallout continues from that tense meeting between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Over the weekend, Zelensky receiving a hero's welcome at a summit of European leaders, most of whom pledged more money and weapons for Ukraine. But on Monday, Zelensky softened his tone, once again thanking the U.S. for sending billions of dollars in aid and saying he's ready for peace, just not on Vladimir Putin's terms.
We need peace, not endless war, and that is why we say that security guarantees are the key.
The UK and France are now putting the final touches on their own peace plan, reportedly calling for a 1-month pause in air and naval combat, but not fighting on the ground. After that, negotiations for a full ceasefire would begin, with European troops deployed to keep the peace.
This is a plan that we will work with the US, and that it will have US backing. So that is the purpose of the plan, and that is why I spoke to President Trump last night.
But the White House remains skeptical, saying the bad blood between the two leaders will have to be resolved, and that's not likely to happen soon. President Trump continued criticizing Zelensky on Monday for saying that the war won't end soon, with Moscow and Washington now both claiming the Ukrainian leader doesn't want a ceasefire.
He's not ready to talk peace at all. But here's the problem. Time is not on his side. Time is not on the side of just forever continuing this conflict.
President Trump is reportedly planning to speak on Tuesday about his proposal to end the war. In London, Stephanie Bennett, Fox News.
Lindsay is next with a complete look at the forecast. Plus, Coffeeville is investing in its historic downtown with grants available for local businesses.
Meteorological spring started March 1st, so this is our first little bit of severe weather season. Let's go ahead and take a look outside downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. You can see cameras shaking because of the strong wind gusts out of the south, gusting up to 40 miles per hour right now. Now I did fix it. We've got a high wind warning in the lighter yellow color for the Kansas counties wind advisory. For the rest of us out in the tan colors, that's Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and a few counties right along Kansas and Missouri border, Now there's also a severe thunderstorm warning for a couple of our counties out in Kansas and out there south of Ponca City. There is a tornado watch out there because they are watching those storms popping up pretty quickly. Got a severe thunderstorm warning on one just west of Oklahoma City. Going to continue to push into our area, but we've got a lot of stable air over our area, so we're not expecting as severe of a threat as the rest of the people out in the western counties. Now, they are under a slight risk, and then tomorrow, as this system really moves into our area, we're under a marginal risk for severe weather, with the main threat being winds. So we've already kind of shown the storm as it moves in, and we're starting now from 7 in the morning. We've got widespread thunderstorms, especially out in Kansas and Oklahoma, starting to push into the Pittsburgh area by about 8 a.m., hitting the Joplin Metro closer to 9 a.m. Now, like I said, though, an area of more stable air, not quite stable, but more stable, not enough to sustain any type of severe weather. So we do just have widespread thunderstorms. They are going to be loud. You might see maybe potential for small hail, but mostly we're just going to deal with thunderstorms and high winds. Now, those storms will continue to push off pretty quickly by about noon, clearing out of here, but we've got isolated thunderstorms popping up early afternoon. As you can see, it's kind of very isolated, and then we've got that the backside of the low pressure system, moving in, bringing us another round of heavy rainfall, and this is going to be early evening on Tuesday, and then snow starts to push in. Now, it doesn't last long, and it is for the overnight hours. Not really going to be a big threat. We could see a slight dusting all the way up to ½ an inch in some areas, but temperatures are so warm that we're not actually going to see anything sticking on the roads. We're briefly dropping down to about 31 degrees, which is just right below freezing, and we're not going to stay there long, so it's not going to be cold enough. Road temperatures won't be cold enough to actually have any of that snow stick. And then Wednesday, we're reaching above freezing again. We're back into the upper 40s, plus we still have a wind threat there, but upper 40s and sunshine returns. So if anything does even stick onto the grass, will likely melt on Wednesday. We have warmer temperatures continuing for the rest of the week and into the weekend as well. Another couple of fronts moving through there Saturday morning with possible shower, and then next Wednesday. But we've got a lot of, nicer, once we get past, the severe threat tomorrow, we've got a lot of nicer days, good temperatures, sunny skies coming up.
Yeah, a little bit of everything in that forecast for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. With the arrival of severe weather season, there's always a risk of damage to your home, and that risk can also bring the danger of scams involving free roof inspections. If a dishonest company or person shows up, they'll usually say they're working on a neighbor's home or they noticed your damaged roof. If you accept their offer, they may fabricate damage or show you photos of someone else's roof to get your business.
You need to be really careful with those unsolicited calls. Someone might call you and tell you, make it almost sound like a guarantee that if there's a problem, your insurance will cover it. But you always want to confirm with your insurance company, if you think you have damage, what they will do and what steps you need to do to make sure that you are covered.
The regional BBB also says to do your homework before hiring any company. Well, coming up in sports, Missouri Southern Volleyball introduces its new head coach, plus Pittsburgh State Softball plays its 2025 home opener. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
The Pittsburgh State softball team has needed to be road warriors this year. The Gorillas are 16 games into the 2025 season. They've got an 11-5 record. Every single one of those contests have been played away from home. But this afternoon, that changes. Pittsburgh State softball hosts Southwest Baptist for its home opener. It's game one of a doubleheader. It's tied at 1 in the bottom of the first when Kylie Lamont crushes this pitch to straightaway center. That is long gone for a 3-run homer. Just like that, Gorillas take a 4-1 lead. Next inning, same score. Heather Arnett at the plate, and she laces this one deep to right into the bleachers. Gone. That's her first home run of the season. The Gorillas not only getting it done at the plate, also getting it done in the field. We go to the next inning, runner on, chopper over towards short. Arnett gets it, throws it to get the out at first, then Trista Peterson quickly throws to third. That's a double play. We go now, bottom of the third inning. Caden Trokim tees off on this pitch. That is the third Gorilla home run of the afternoon. Pittsburg State takes care of Southwest Baptist 10-2 in the first game of the doubleheader. And the Gorillas win game 2 as well. Final score 9-3 in that one. Sophia Driver hits a home run and Courtney Story collects 3 RBI off 2 hits. In Missouri high school basketball, classes 1 through 3, they're already done with district tournament play, and this evening we've got some sectional playoff games. We'll start in Class 3. It's a battle between a couple of our local schools, and Lamar boys basketball takes down New Heights 70-60. That means the Tigers advance to the Class 3 state quarterfinals. That's where they'll face Thayer on Friday night. If they win that contest, Tigers move on to the Final Four, the University of Missouri's campus in Columbia. Then in Class 1, Macaulay Catholic boys basketball is moving on to the state quarterfinals as well. Warriors take down Drexel 40-32 at home. They'll face Wheatland, who has just lost 3 games all season in that quarterfinal playoff game. That's Friday night, hoping to punch a ticket to the Final Four. Well, Missouri Southern Athletics announces this afternoon the Lions, they've found their next head volleyball coach, who's very familiar with the area. Kelly Richardson is the new leader of the Southern volleyball program. In a press release from MSSU Athletics, she says, quote, "From the moment I stepped on campus, it felt like home, and it was obvious why Southern is such a special place." Now, Richardson has more than 11 years of collegiate coaching experience, including being the head coach at Western Illinois and at Southwest Baptist. Most recently, though, she has served as director of 417 Juniors Volleyball. That's the largest elite club in Southwest Missouri. Back to some of that basketball that I was talking about. Exciting time of the year for basketball. You got high school, like I mentioned, into the playoffs, state tournaments coming up. We got that in Missouri and in Kansas. Oklahoma, their state tournaments start this Thursday. So we got a lot of our teams that are, making a name for themselves right now.
Definitely a lot of basketball action. And how about those Pitt State softball players?
That
was a great day today for them.
It was. They, didn't seem to mind playing away from home all year, but they come home and they show out this afternoon.
Yeah, it would have been a great game to watch.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, John. We're back with more news after this. A grant program in Coffeeville hopes to revitalize the city's historic downtown. Funding is available for local business and property owners to make improvements with a goal to preserve the area's historic nature. KOAM's Samantha Walker explains how city staff hopes the program will bring new energy to downtown.
City of Coffeeville staff say they hope to preserve the downtown area's historic nature through the use of grants. 6 grants of up to $20,000 each is available for local business and property owners. Those awarded are required to match any grant by 25%.
We really want the downtown to look appealing, to help attract and keep people in the downtown. So this year, that's the plan. We will adjust again for the next year, and we'll keep making changes, all for the benefit of our downtown revitalization.
The funding comes from a tax increase voters approved in 2022 and continues through 2032. The city manager says he wants the program to be a partnership between the city and community members.
We don't want to come in and just assume we know what's best. We're here to create and have partnerships to get this effort done.
Lydia Bryce is a small business owner. She says an appealing and thriving downtown is important for a community like Coffeeville.
It's discouraging to walk through a downtown that there's nothing going on. People feel kind of like it's a ghost town almost. And so if you can revive the community, it also builds community spirit.
City staff say they hope the grant program will do just that, encouraging visitors and locals to go downtown.
We want those people that are living there, working there, stopping by to shop to feel at home, feel like a place they want to stay.
Bryce says the grant program still requires a big investment from small businesses, and the 25% match may be a hurdle. But she hopes the program inspires improvement in whatever ways possible.
Especially communities with history, it's worth trying to save the buildings and help the business owners and actually reviving a community.
Reporting in Coffeeville, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
The spring round of applications closes March 15th. The fall round opens in June. You can learn more about the grant program and how to apply on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Up next, big movies, big music, and even bigger stars, from Gladiator 2 to Lady Gaga's new album. The latest in home entertainment when we return. Ridley Scott's historical epic, a Marvel villain origin story and a global superstar, among the new digital and DVD releases available to add to your home library. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin runs down the list of what's new in home entertainment.
Did you hear that crowd?
Ridley Scott's epic Gladiator 2 tops the list of what's new in home entertainment. The sequel stars Paul Mescal, Denzel Washington, and Pedro Pascal. Set 15 years after the original, the film follows Lucius, a young gladiator who enters the Colosseum after the emperors of Rome conquer his home.
Tell me about this hunter.
Aaron Taylor Johnson transforms into one of Marvel's iconic villains in Kraven the Hunter. The R-rated action-adventure tells the origin story of the Russian huntsman, whose complex relationship with his father leads him on a revenge-fueled mission to become the world's greatest and most feared hunter.
Santa Claus has been kidnapped?
Dwayne Johnson, Chris Evans, J.K. Simmons, and Lucy Liu star in Red One, a holiday action comedy about a mission to save Santa Claus after he's kidnapped from the North Pole.
No one gets over on me.
Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson Jr. return for Den of Thieves 2 Pantera. The sequel has Butler's detective Nick O'Brien hunting down Jackson Jr.'s Donnie Wilson in Europe. The chase begins after Wilson gets involved with a crew plotting to rob the world's largest diamond exchange. For music fans, rising singer-songwriter Mackenzie Carpenter releases her debut album, Hey Country Queen. Jenny of the K-pop group Blackpink drops her first solo record, Ruby. And global superstar Lady Gaga unleashes mayhem. Her 7th album, featuring released songs Disease, Die With a Smile, and Abracadabra. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thank you for joining us. We're going to leave you with video, cute video might I add, of a baby panda bottle feeding at the Berlin Zoo. Aww. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.